We can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're at a point where we are now ready to finish up our entire project. What we've been able to do is been able to look at most of the options on the Mailings tab, from creating envelopes and labels to working through all of the different steps of creating a mail merge, whether it be using the wizard or doing it by hand. We can even do things like making sure that we can see the fields. For example, we can turn on highlight merge fields so we can actually see where they are in the document. If it's well written, it might be otherwise hard to see. There are some tools under Preview Results that we can use, especially if we're not using the Mail Merge Wizard, that allow us to move back and forth between records, to actually find certain recipients, and we can even run an auto check. This will do a couple of things. It will first of all let us do a kind of sample merge to see if there are any errors, as well as set options on what to do if there are errors, how to handle those. Should it just ignore them or do something else? We are ready, though, to move to the right-hand edge, and as we know by now, the ribbon is usually logically organized, and that means the last step of a mail merge should be on the right-hand side, and indeed it is. Remember, though, that we started using the wizard, so let's go ahead and finish up with the wizard as well. We'll go ahead and click to our last step, which is to complete the merge. If we were creating email, the links would be different. It would say, for example, go ahead and create the email, and it would at that point ask us which field contained the email address, as well as what we wanted our subject line to be. We're not doing emails, though. We're actually doing letters. So we have a couple of options. We can send them directly to a printer, or we can edit individual letters. My best practice is to recommend that you always edit individual letters. First of all, when you send them to the printer, that's what's going to happen. They're all going to print out, and even if you've previewed them on screen, you haven't really seen them, so I don't like that option. I always like to choose Edit, even if I don't plan on editing them. First of all, it's going to create a brand new document with all of the letters, one page in this case, for each of my recipients. Secondly, it creates that as a brand new file, so I can save that file if I need it for record-keeping purposes of who actually got the letter. And thirdly, of course, it does create each letter as its own page. So if we wanted to go in and in any way completely customize for maybe a particular customer, client, or vendor, we can do that because at that point it's just a Word document. So let's go ahead and click Edit Individual Letters. It will ask you if you want to do all of your records, the current record, or a range of records. We'll do them all. If you look at the status bar real quickly, you'll see we're on page 1 of 1. But as soon as we say OK, it comes up with our prompt. We'll say OK. And we actually see our prompt again. There's actually a good reason for this. I'm not sure if you noticed, and sometimes I just don't show you things so we can learn things the hard way because you tend to learn them better. When we create a prompt, there's an option that says, do you want to be prompted only once? We didn't check that, so we're going to be prompted for every letter. Here's a little trick though. If you get to this point and go, oh, I didn't set that up right, copy and paste is your friend. Type what you want, make a copy, then we can simply continue to say OK, and we can just do Control V to paste through the rest of these. Now fortunately there aren't a lot of them. If there were, then I would stop and I'd go back and I'd fix my prompt. Now we can see in our status bar that we're on page 1 of 5, and we should have one letter for each person. Here's the one for Fran, followed by the one for Dolores, followed by the one for Craig, and I think you get the idea of how this works. If you actually look carefully at this page and read it, I think it comes out as being something that looks very personalized. You can't tell that it was done by a mail merge, and that is the key. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to how you can word things so that everything fits and does flow evenly. But that really is the key that I have learned a long time ago about utilizing the power of mail merge to create documents and communications using Word. In many ways, mail merge is similar to a builder who offers 3 or 4 home models to choose from within a subdivision. Yes, each individual home will have some unique features, like paint color or even some of the layout, but in general, they reuse the same core building plan. In Word, mail merge allows us to reuse data content. We can use the same name and address, for example, to send a welcome letter, a thank you letter, or make a folder label. The data source would be the same, and our merge documents would be different. Likewise, in this case, we can reuse this particular merge document with different names of people for different business documents. That gives us the flexibility to work with virtually anything that we might need to do in a business environment. And don't forget, it works for personal stuff as well. How many of you have ever gotten one of those holiday letters where it says, "Dear Family and Friends"? Wouldn't it be nice if you could actually customize it a little bit more? Now you can. No matter how big or small the project, whether it's a document or a building, buildings, for example, have to go through several types of inspections before it's allowed to be occupied. They're the city inspectors who look for code violations to be sure it's safe all the way down to new homeowners who do a walkthrough. They point out all of the features they think should be changed, cosmetic or functional. Sometimes our documents don't need collaboration or review or this type of merging, but often, especially in formal environments, they do. And Word provides a nice variety of tools to allow us to do so in the easiest possible way, including the all-important basics like spell checks, grammar checks, and even